Why am I playing this? Why am I playing this? This game does have some fascinating ideas that have poor execution. It could have been genuinely decent, but not enough to really earn second place in the best hack awards in Poke community. But it may be fun to pick up as a small hack with minimalist execution. It is surprisingly popular to play through. Some genuinely like it, others play it to lambast it, and some want to play the hardest Pokemon hack out there. I don't plan to do a traditional LP on it, nor a Nuzlocke. I don't like being restricted to possibly bad Pokemon due to bad luck. Instead, I want to provide my experience on the game so far. I haven't personally completed it yet. I'm 69% close to finishing it. I do want to provide some external commentary on the game though. One particular commentary is made in 2013. The title screen isn't that bad. And it has Arceus' cry. It's not fair for me to say, but this game is mostly a reskin of Fire Red, which isn't the best ROM base to hack on, due to several reasons I'll cover throughout the series. Here's what I got from this game. Basically, there is a Satan version of Arceus, known as Darugis, who is an unseen evil that is causing mayhem and misery. He can possess people and force them to battle you. You, the Chosen One, must find your dad, who was the original Chosen One, and must be destined to take down the evil known as Darugis. Along the way, you'll encounter some quote-unquote friends, including your rival, who is the second Chosen One. Your enemies is a mysterious, unnamed organization controlled by Darugis, led by a few individuals who serve the Pokemon Satan as their admins. I will go more in depth with the individuals as we go along. Oh, and you also get 8 badges, and you have to beat the Elite Four. According to the creator of this game, it was supposed to be a different, unique experience, but it borrows a lot from the original Pokemon games, including the plot. Only the Pokemon League is tied to the plot mostly. Most of the gym leaders are tacked on and useless. At the start, you are given 3 starters, the pseudo-legendary dragons, including Garchomp. Yes, this game has Gen 4 and 5 Pokemon replacing some of the older Pokemon. But it uses the 3rd gen mechanics with no physical special split, so at least there's some interesting shenanigans. Also, some of the cries for some of the Gen 5 and 4 Pokemon do not sound appropriate at all. Which is glaring because there is only the Arceus cry, which is used on a Chimecho slot. You'll find out which Pokemon has Arceus' cry, but it isn't Arceus. Spoiler warning, you don't get Arceus in this game. As you go along this merry adventure, you will encounter some pretty big level jumps early on. Yes, the game's difficulty, quote-unquote, stems from only one thing. Who was the hardest champion? Was it Red, was it Cynthia, or was it Emerald Steven? If you pick Cynthia, you're able to make a genuinely challenging game. If you pick Red, you are more interested in thematics, making it casual friendly but imposing. If you pick Steven from Emerald, you get Dark Rising's difficulty. You get a lot of really bad teams that have bad move pools, but are often higher level than you. Some move pools are competitive enough that you simply cannot win if you're underleveled, so you're forced to grind. That is, if the AI picks correctly. We'll get to that. The level curves in this game is one of the biggest complaints about Dark Rising. And I have to agree with them too. Although I have seen much worse, the level curve is beyond obnoxious, especially early game, where you do not want your enemy to have levels that much higher than you. Honestly, it's far too early to pull a round 2 Pika Cup in terms of levels. And until you get to the Elite Four, the game does get much easier, since the level curve does slow down late to mid-game. But there are some very cheap factors to make the game difficult, even throughout the whole game. One other obnoxious thing is that the non-bosses are vastly weaker and lower level than any of the bosses. Now overall, the difficulty curve, which is different from the level curve, is pretty erratic and random. The only consistent difficulty you'll find are actually from the gym leaders, since their AIs are consistent and good, unlike many of the additional bosses, which have far better teams but a lot worse AI, at least until you get to the Elite Four. Anyway, you will encounter the first villain of the game, and he uses a level 50 legendary. It is the typical unwinnable battle, very similar to many battles in Final Fantasy games, so just take the loss. Now your adventure begins, and you can't buy items. Oh my god. Now I actually found a way to get around this. I couldn't fix that script. Yeah, I'm making some edits to this hack because this one particularly offends me. But I added a Mart script to one of the so-called friend characters to make them actually feel like a good ally, as this game should have done, which we'll get into. But if you play the game normally, trust me, do not get poisoned, you're gonna die. And you are going to take a lot of damage, which means a lot of backtracking because they wouldn't give you potions. Or the programming in this game is just so bad, and I can't figure out a way to actually fix that directly. Reach the end of the forest, and you will encounter 3 thugs. The Dark Thugs are basically the team bad guys of the game. You know, like Team Rocket Grunts, Team Magma Grunts. And just like them, they usually use theme teams. By that I mean theme Pokemon that you'll see all the damn time. You're going to see a lot of Dark Grunts around here, so you better get used to seeing these Pokemon. They're pretty high level for now, but this is the only part of the game where they're threatening. Somewhat. For a game that claims to be different from the original and has a lot more unique things, it shares a lot of griefs that I have with the original game. But here is a good point to stop and talk about another common problem that this game has, unlike the original games. Spelling and grammar. There are a ton of grammar errors.
Hi, henchmen, where are they? Why are you saying hi to them? Yes, I am. Thank you for getting ready those anointing ladies. They're priests, actually. They're bishops.
And it's confirmed that the writer's native language isn't English, which I am somewhat impressed with most of the dialogue being English. But there is some laughably bad dialogue due to grammar and spelling. Now, this Dark Thug, like, trying to speak Old English, even professional writers and English speakers often can't get Old English right, so it's kind of hilarious to see that the text editor tries to pull off Old English. I'm not even kidding. There is some egregious text out there that you will see throughout the game. And taking the time to pick all of them apart will just make the game take that much longer, and I don't have an eternity to take long. After we reach the town, I'm just going to stop there and introduce one of the major critics of this game. Doesn't know how to play. This man has invented the physical special split for many hacks out there, and has made a particularly good commentary about this game in his forum. To summarize my whole experience so far, the whole Mart without items is a dick thing. In an otherwise boring early game, the lack of items, like antidotes, just makes this rather annoying. We haven't gotten to the fun stuff later, so check out the next parts. Alright, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll continue to make more videos like these.